again, I am the leader, but it doesn't mean that anything that I say is more correct than what you say. All right? 2, for everyone in the room, it is potentially a very difficult 40 minutes because you have to pay as much attention as possible for 40 minutes with what's happening in the discussion. If you don't pay attention for a minute, you put your head down for a second, then we will end up repeating the same point, and you won't see the discussion progress. Right? So it's really important. I'll be taking notes as this is happening. But it's really important that we keep track of who is saying what, and did we already say that, who said what, etc. All right? So we'll begin the same way as we did last week. Has everyone had a chance to read the story?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Has everyone had a chance to come up with their questions?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So where we will begin, as we did last week, is I will open it up and see if there are some questions or some confusion about the text that we want to just throw out there to begin. And I'll just call on a few people and then we will find something to start. All right? Who wants to begin? Just things that you found confusing, questions that you might have had, anything you want to throw out on the table.
Like, I know it was at night, but they must have been at home. They said it's like the house was like dead or something. Like where like exactly like where was like the setting? That's
Okay. Someone else?
When it says that it sounds like a dog trying to open the door, and then it says it almost sounds like nails being on the door. It don't sound like that.
So what seems to be your sort of confusion with that?
Then a dog opening the door doesn't sound like nails being pulled up.
So different sounds that are being made in the house?
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else? Questions that you have? Deepest point of doubt?
On 34, 36.
34, 35, 36? All right.
The father was telling him it was a mouse, but I need to point out was it really a mouse, or the dad was just trying not to scare the boy, the 2-year-old.
Okay, can you say that just one more time so I can write it? Was it really a mouse?
Was it really a mouse, or the dad was trying not to scare his boy because he went up to?
So was it really a mouse, or was the dad just not trying to scare the boy?
I said that like did a sound ever occur because when it said Tom woke up to midnight. It was the middle of the night.
Oh, sorry. Can you just point out, and we want to just make sure that we're pointing out, if we're quoting something, the line number first. Give us a second to get there. Yes.
It's 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Tom woke up, but Tim did not. It was the middle of the night. Did you hear that? Tom asked his brother, but Tim was only 2. Even he was awake, he didn't talk much because Tom is the only person who heard the sound, and not Tim or his father was they heard the sound.
Okay.
I don't think it was a mouse.
You don't think it was a mouse? So before we get to that point, I just want to throw out, and this is for all of us involved, there are 2 sort of interpretive questions that are sort of out there. We can sort of decide as a group which one we want to maybe tackle first. One is that, was it really a mouse, or is the dad simply trying not to scare the boy? All right, and that's your question. All right. The second question by Aaliyah is, did a sound ever occur? All right, so those are 2 questions. Before, Robert, we get back to you, is there any sense, and one is if a sound actually occurred, and then the other question is about the action or actions of the father. Is there any sense as a group of which one we want to try to tackle first? Doesn't matter which one. So there are certain questions we want to talk about first.
I said we should talk about mine first. Because, line. It was always, one of it was talking about it was dragging in teeth.
Can we, let's see if we can find that line. So the line about
I think it's
12.
I see somebody.
11.
It
Okay.
has teeth. So it was saying teeth, but it's not really teeth, it's like nails. So it could be a different animal in the mouth with sharpie.
Okay. So the question we're going to start with, just for everyone to let me know, is was it really a mouse, or is the dad simply trying not to scare the children? Not. Right. So we'll start there. The line that was pointed out already is 11 and 12. And Mariah, can you explain? It says 11, line 11. It holds itself along with its teeth. Tom said it has teeth too. His father explained. So what is that line? What do you interpret that to?
It's saying like the teeth is dragging the teeth, because the animal can drag itself with teeth. So I was thinking like they toenails or something. So like other animals like cats.
Okay. So are you using that to say that you do not believe it to be a mouse? Is that what you meant? Okay. All right. Let's see. Probably.
I don't think it's a mouse either because line 31,
30 through 31.
Yeah, it said Tim screamed he didn't know what a mouse was. It frightened him to think of something with wet, big fur, and no arms, no legs crawling between the walls. I thought that maybe then it could be like some type of insect or something, like a caterpillar. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. And why do you think it's perhaps in this line, which is different from lines 11 and 12, obviously, why do you think this one is not a mouse? How are you interpreting that? What about these two lines is telling you that it's not a mouse?
Because most mouse have legs, arms. I don't see how something like crawl through walls with no legs.
Okay, so that line 31, crawling between the walls, you don't see how something can crawl, that verb crawl without having arms or legs.
You have to say the word vision pretty much.
If you think there's someone that suggests an answer, then sure, you can go for it.
It says that they think that it's.
You gotta speak up a little bit so everybody in the outside can hear. Because I don't think Cameron and Louise, I don't think you can hear them.
Both of the kids think that
You gotta
it's
speak
like,
up.
both of the kids think it's like they haven't seen that
Say that point again. Both of the kids think what?
it has no legs or arms.
Where does it say that both of them don't think?
Because in the close to the end, it says that
Line? Remember, we always need to know a line before we read, right? It's just something you just get used to. Sure, go for it.
It says from 41 to 42. It says each time he thought he heard the mouse running into the walls, turning the wall, and then it says dragging its thick wet fur with its no arms and no legs. Saying like that he still thought that it had no arms and no legs. And then Tom is in his book. It says it
What line?
sounds like a monster with no legs.
What line are you on?
6 and 7. It sounds like a monster with no arms and no legs, but it is trying to move, Tom said. So they're both inferring that the monster has no arms and no legs.
They're both trying to get no arms and no legs. Carl? Can you just speak up just a little loud? Everybody can.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. All right.
I'm using the same line, 30 and 31.
Okay. 30.
And I don't believe it's a mouse either because Tom doesn't know what a mouse looks like. So it can basically be anything. He doesn't know what it looks like.
Tom doesn't know what a mouse looks like?
Oh, Tim.
Tim, how do we know Tim doesn't know what a mouse looks like? Can we point that out? Well, and it might be there if we can just figure out where does Tim say, or where does it say in the story that Tim doesn't know where the mouse is? Intro?
Man, 30, the screen didn't know what the mouse was.
Okay, so line 30, Tim screamed he didn't know what a mouse was. All right, so Cara, getting back to your point. So Tim doesn't know what it is, so just continue from there. So he doesn't know what a mouse is.
So when he hears these things, it can basically be like an insect or anything. So like, I don't know, because like when he was tapping the wall, it was kind of scaring the animal creature away. So he could basically see it, so he wouldn't know what it was doing.
So you said when Tim is tapping the wall?
Yeah.
So when he was tapping the wall, the creature was moving away.
Right.
So you're getting that from line 42. Tim hit the wall with his hand and the mouse scurried away, dragging its thick, wet fur and its no arms and no legs with it.
So we went to where it was.
Okay. So we don't believe that it is a mouse.
I think the thing told me what it is, but they can't see what it is. When on line 42, when they say, like, he's driving his feet, and we wet fur, they be weeping during it, like, when they hear it, and when they say, on line 8, it has no arms and no legs. Like, they assume that it have no arms because they can't hear them. But back to 12 and 11 and 12, when they say the teeth, so they have to have some type of arms and legs so you hear the teeth sound, which is nails, but they can't honestly hear.
So you're using 11 and 12 to say what?
That is that they do have arms.
The mouse,
But
monster, any animal does have it. And it is using that, it has to use that to move itself along. Right. Caleb?
I just want to know if wait, never mind, I think I'm gonna do it.
Okay. Robert?
Yeah, but, it said, line 41, 43, it said that Tim hit the wall with his hands, and it said, and the mouse scurried away. I don't think that's what he's thinking, I think that's what the text saying.
Say what you mean by that.
I mean that it's something scurried away, but it wasn't like what he was thinking.
Okay, so in other words,
No arms and legs, and it had wet fur.
okay, so the text tells us, and this might be how you interpret it, the text is telling us, and we might say, well, who is saying this line? Line 42, each time he thought he heard the mouse crawling between the walls, Tim hit the wall with his hand and the mouse scurried away. So Robert, who is saying that? The author? The narrator? Well, okay, so Robert, who is the narrator in that part? The narrator is Tim. All right. So if the narrator is Tim, and it says Tim hit the wall with his hand and the mouse scurried away, does Tim believe it's a mouse?
Well, I don't know if it's telling what Tim's doing.
So we're not sure who the narrator is? Okay, so that's interesting because now in that line, I think Robbie, you were saying before, well, wait a minute, Tim is the narrator. He says the mouse scurried away. He believes it's a mouse. But I think there's some doubt, at least that you're telling me, that of the narrator who exactly is speaking. Okay, come back.
Well, I don't think that Tim really is a sound because on line 41 it says each time he thought he heard the mouse crawling between the walls, then he hit it, but like it don't say like he heard the sound.